In today's video, we're going to be talking about locations again. And I did a video when I was on the streets of New York in between locations, scouting locations, and I'm going to just talk about certain things that uh, I specifically didn't find on the shoot and things as I was going through what I mentally had to think about that I might have forgotten, but I am aware enough to not forget it at this point in my career. So the first place I looked at was a photo studio actually that had a lot of movable things in terms of desks, in terms of backdrops, in terms of the wall was magnetic, so we could even hang things on the wall without damaging them. And they had a lot of interesting art up, and that wouldn't be appropriate for our scene. So, but they did have a whiteboard, and that was really good. For that, it was interesting because you have to ask the price and they'll be like, oh, 30 an hour. And 30 an hour doesn't sound bad for New York until you get into the 10-hour thing, and then it's a $300 location for one room. And that might not be the best, but it was still doable. But when I got in there, and it was a fairly sizable room, but what I realized is if we have actors that need to be waiting while we're setting up, or we have equipment in addition to what they were offering lights, which also helped because we might need those lights and we would need to rent them. So that cuts down on the budget in terms of rental. But I was like, we have no actor holding, we have no place to put craft services, blah, 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 blah. And for 300, meh. But I still kept it on the list and it was all right. So, the next place I went to was more of an office location where they do a lot of temporary office where you can rent an office room for an hour or 4 hours or whatever, or a day. And they also do office services like mail room and all that. And I was just walking by, actually. That wasn't one of the locations I was planning on going to, but I ended up going and it was great. It was actually probably the best place I looked at of the three I looked at that day. So that was cool. The gentleman, Aaron, showed me a lot of different rooms, some with windows, some without. And I did find with that one that the same issue came up where I said, well, where would we put our actors and our craft service while we are setting up? We need to have some equipment. We want that to be secure. And you do want that to be secure because especially if you have very expensive equipment, you don't want people to be able to wander in and out. Or even just the actor's possessions. Some people bring their cell phones and then they don't want to go to set and find that their cell phone is gone. So you have to consider that. But really, like just even feeding people for lunch, where's that going to happen? You don't want to do that on a hot set either. So, hot set being things have been placed and you don't want to move things around so that the continuity is off. And continuity, I mean like matching clips. So, you would in that location, they said maybe there'll be a second meeting room that we could use. This was the best price. This was half the price of the other location, by the way. And the problem was we might have to get 2 rooms. The other problem was this was from like 8:30 to 5, which for the script that we're shooting, that should be fine, but I like having access for a full 12 or 14 hours. You get in early and set up. You might have to pick up a lot of stuff afterward or strike the set. It might take longer than you expect. So I like to have as much time as possible in the day. So that, and just not knowing whether we'll get the second room for free or have to double our budget for a location, it makes it a little bit rough, but really great in terms of where it's located in the city. And they were so nice. So that's still staying on the list. The third place I looked at, I wasn't able to see because I need to schedule that, but their price also was because they have to pay someone to hang out there for $32.50 an hour, and then there's a rental fee just for the room, which might have some wiggle room, but that was pretty expensive. So, and I have to go back to look at it, but I probably won't because it's already out of our budget. I mean, for a bigger budget production, maybe it wouldn't be that much, but just having to pay somebody $30 an hour just to hang out, a technician, they're calling it, basically, scratched it off the list. So they're not doing anybody any favors. So I am still looking for a location, but I wanted to run through that for anyone who is doing location work. And also, I'd like to mention that look for places that are quiet. That's really important too. When you're doing your scouting, you want to make sure that it also is going to be someplace where you can record, where there's not going to be too much activity and a lot of noise messing up the audio in your shots. And that's basically it for today. Thank you for watching, and I will see you next time.